Crestwood Academy was the most expensive private school in the city. Annual tuition was $50,000. But strange things had been happening in recent months. Some students were being expelled from school for no reason, while children of wealthy families stayed. Middle-class families were being targeted, until it was my son Oliver's turn. That's when I realized this wasn't just about education. It was about money, and Principal Alexander didn't know that I had access to his financial records. My name is Rebecca Harrison. I'm 42 years old and work as a financial advisor. My only child, Oliver, is 8 years old, an intelligent and lovely boy. Crestwood Academy was one of Boston's most prestigious private schools, a school attended by children of famous families and wealthy businessmen. Annual tuition was $50,000. But the quality of education was worth it. I enrolled Oliver in this school 3 years ago. After my divorce from my husband David, I wanted to give my son the best: good education, good friends, good future. The school principal, Alexander Whitman, was a man in his 50s. Flashy. He always wore expensive suits and came to school with his luxury car. He was polite, but distant when talking to parents. Oliver was very happy at school for the first 2 years. His grades were good, his teachers loved him, he had friends. We didn't experience any problems, but this year things started to change. The first thing I noticed was the decrease in student numbers. While there were 20 students in the class last year, it had dropped to 15 this year. Where did these children go? I asked Oliver's teacher, Mrs. Peterson. Some families changed schools, she said vaguely. Economic reasons. It seemed strange. The families at this school weren't the type to have economic difficulties. Then, I talked to my neighbor Margaret. Her daughter Emma was also studying at the same school. Rebecca, very strange things are happening, she had said. The Johnson family had to remove their son from school. Principal Alexander said the child had behavioral problems. But I know that child, he's a very well-behaved boy. So what was the real reason? According to Margaret's guess, they didn't want to participate in the school's new investment program. He was asking for an additional contribution of $25,000. This information set off alarm bells in my head. I was a financial advisor. I would notice financial irregularities. That night I started examining Oliver's school files. Tuition payments, additional fees, donation requests. It looked normal, but something was missing. The following week I attended a school management meeting. I was trying to be active in the Parent-Teacher Association. At the meeting, Principal Alexander talked about new projects. Our school's modernization program continues, he had said. New laboratories, gyms, technology investments. For these projects, we expect additional support from our parents. How much support? I asked. $25,000 per family. Of course it's not mandatory, but it's important for our school's future. Not mandatory. But these kinds of sentences always aroused suspicion. After the meeting, I had a chance to talk with school secretary Linda. Linda had been working at the school for 10 years. She knew everything. Linda, when did this modernization program start? About 6 months ago. Principal Alexander's personal project. But, she paused. But what? When some families didn't contribute, problems started appearing in their children. Behavioral reports, academic inadequacy. These kinds of things. That's when I understood. This was a bribery system. Children of those who didn't contribute were being targeted. That night, when I got home, I started researching. As a financial advisor, I had some sources. I examined Crestwood Academy's financial situation. The school was financially sound. There was no need to raise additional money for modernization. So where were these $25,000 going? A few days later, I found the answer. It was being transferred to Principal Alexander's personal accounts. The donations collected in the name of the school were actually going into his pocket. But I couldn't take action yet. I needed more evidence. In February, what I feared happened to me. Oliver's teacher, Mrs. Peterson, called me asking for an appointment. Mrs. Harrison, We need to talk about Oliver, she had said. The next day I went to school. Mrs. Peterson looked serious. There are problems with Oliver's behavior, she said. He's aggressive in class, fighting with his friends, not doing his homework. I was shocked. This isn't possible. There's no problem at home. Oliver is a very well-behaved child. I'm sorry, but our reports are here. Principal Alexander wants to see you. When I entered Principal Alexander's office, there was a thick file on the desk. Oliver's name was written on it. Mrs. Harrison, Alexander said coldly. Oliver's situation is serious. He's constantly causing problems, disturbing other students. This isn't possible. Oliver is a very calm child at home. Behavior at home can be different from school. We run an educational institution here. We cannot accept problematic students. My heart started beating fast. What do you mean? Oliver needs to leave school. This is for the good of both him and other students. This isn't fair. Oliver is a good student. He has no problems. Alexander stood up. The decision has been made, Mrs. Harrison. Oliver needs to pack his things and leave school within this week. At that moment, I understood. They had targeted me because I hadn't contributed to the modernization program. I understand, I said in a calm voice. I'll take Oliver. But Alexander didn't know that I wasn't just a mother. I was a financial advisor, and I had been examining his financial records for months. When I got home, Oliver was crying. Mom, I didn't do anything bad. Why are they expelling me from school? Don't worry, honey, I said, hugging him. You didn't do anything. Sometimes adults make wrong decisions. That night I sat at the table and made my plan. It was time to expose Alexander Whitman's dirty game. First, I researched the families of other expelled students. 8 students had been expelled from school in the last 6 months. What they all had in common was that they hadn't contributed to the modernization program. Second, I examined Alexander's financial records in detail. Money collected under the name of donations was being transferred to his personal accounts. Third, I had a secret meeting with school secretary Linda. Linda was also uncomfortable with the situation and wanted to help me. Mrs. Harrison, she had said. The principal has been implementing this system for 6 months. Families either give money or problems are created for their children. Do you have proof? Yes. Emails containing the principal's instructions. Fake behavioral reports. I've recorded everything. The documents Linda gave me were like a bomb. There were emails proving that Alexander had teachers write fake reports and forced families to collect money. In the final stage, I took action. First, I filed a complaint with the school board of directors. When you expelled my son from school, I said calmly, you thought I was just a helpless mother. But I'm a financial advisor, Alexander. I've been examining your financial records for months. I put a thick file on the desk. Here are the fake donation documents, personal account transfers, fake reports you had teachers write. Everything is here. Alexander's hand was trembling. This is a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. You expelled 8 students just because their families refused to pay bribes. You transferred $500,000 of donation money to your own account. At that moment, the door opened and 2 police officers entered. Alexander Whitman, you're under arrest, said one of the officers, for fraud, bribery, and document forgery charges. As Alexander was being handcuffed, he looked at me. Is this your doing? Yes, I said, smiling. And this is just the beginning. That day the school was closed. Students were sent home. Local news announced the scandal with big headlines. That evening, while sitting at home with Oliver, the door rang. It was school board chairman, Mr. Williams. Mrs. Harrison, he said apologetically. I'm very sorry about what happened. We will provide every convenience for Oliver to return to school. Thank you, I said. But Oliver will transfer to another school. We're done with Prestwood Academy. 3 months later, the court process began. Alexander Whitman was sentenced to 5 years in prison for fraud and bribery charges. The money he stole was returned to the families. I enrolled Oliver in the city's best public school, free, but an honest educational institution. Oliver was much happier. Mom, he had said one evening. I'm much happier than being at Prestwood Academy. My friends here are real friends. He was right. Friendship bought with money wasn't real friendship. After the scandal, many families thanked me. 8 student families had found justice. Their children were now getting a happy education at new schools. Alexander Whitman had thought I was just a helpless mother, but I was a financial advisor, and I had access to his financial records. Sometimes the greatest power is quietly collected information, and I had recorded everything.